Good evening. I'd like to officially call this work session meeting of the Mayor and Council to order. At this time, I'd ask everyone to please rise for a moment of silent prayer and/or reflection as we think about our law enforcement men and women who protect our country during Police Week. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please note the fire exits behind you, well, behind some of you into the main hallway, and to my right and wherever else into the council chambers. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and attend any meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with this act, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of New Milford have caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Borough Hall. Notices have been sent to the Record and the Ridgewood News. The mission of this governing body is to provide essential services for the establishment and implementation of public policy that will safeguard the infrastructure, provide fair, honest, courteous, and professional services, establish a sense of trust and accomplishment between all residents, and through research and prudent planning, seek to minimize risk while improving our services. We are sensitive to the needs and satisfaction of our taxpayers, while realizing this governing body cannot be all things to all people within the revenue constraints imposed by state mandates, economic conditions, and prevailing attitudes about taxation. At this time, I would ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilwoman Samuelson.
Here.
Councilman Zalner.
Here.
Council President Duffy.
Here.
Councilman Roxy.
Here.
Councilman Seymour.
Here.
Councilwoman Grant.
Here.
Mayor Pacheco.
Here. Before we start, I'm going to ask for a motion to add a appointment. I'd ask for a motion to appoint Joe Luna to Planning Board Class 4.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Up first is a proclamation for mental health awareness. Office of the Mayor Proclamation. Whereas, mental health is essential to overall well-being and affects every aspect of our lives, from how we think and feel to how we act, relate to others, and handle stress. And whereas millions of individuals and families across our communities are impacted by mental health conditions, which know no boundaries. And whereas stigma surrounding mental health remains a barrier that prevents many people from seeking the help they need and deserve. And whereas we recognize the importance of raising awareness, increasing access to care, and supporting the mental wellness of all people through education, open dialogue, and community action. And whereas May is recognized throughout the nation as Mental Health Awareness Month, it serves as a crucial reminder that no one is alone, that help is available, and together we can create a culture of compassion, understanding, and support. And whereas Mental Health Month celebrates the resilience and strength of individuals living with mental illness, recognizing their courage, determination, and achievements in overcoming obstacles, seeking help, and embracing hope and healing. And whereas Mental Health Month serves as a call to action for individuals, communities, and policymakers to prioritize mental health and well-being, invest in prevention, early intervention, and support services, and work together to create a more inclusive, compassionate, and supportive society. Now therefore be resolved. I, Mayor Michael Petrino, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 as Mental Health Awareness Month in the Borough of New Milford to increase public understanding of the importance of mental health and to promote identification and treatment of mental health needs. Okay, under appointments, may I get a motion to appoint Nicholas Conti to Fire Company Number 1, John Norman to the Office of Emergency Management, and Joe Lunam to the Planning Board Class 4.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, congratulations and thank you very much, Nicholas, John, and Joe, for serving our borough. Under unfinished business, may I get approval of the minutes from the April 28th, 2025 closed and work sessions?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have a few ordinance adoptions tonight. First one being 2025:14. And when the clerk has the opportunity, I would ask her please read the ordinance.
An ordinance to repeal and replace Chapter 25 of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of New Milford entitled Flood Prevention and Protection.
Purpose of this ordinance is to adopt the Model Code Coordinated Ordinance for Flood Damage Prevention as provided by the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. This ordinance was developed by the NJDEP at the discretion of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, to incorporate the higher state standards found in the Flood Hazard Area Control Act and Uniform Construction Code. That was a mouthful, right? Making a motion to open to the public for a public hearing on this ordinance.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ladies and gentlemen from the public, if anyone has any questions or comments regarding this ordinance, now is your opportunity. Seeing that no member of the public wishes to come forward at this time, I would ask for a motion to close to the public.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I get a motion to adopt this ordinance on its final reading?
Motion.
Second.
May I get a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Samuelson. Yes. Councilman Zalner.
Yes.
Council President Duffy.
Yes.
Councilman Grodzki.
Yes.
Councilman Seymour.
Yes.
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
Okay, the next one tonight is ordinance 2025:15, and when the clerk has the opportunity, I'd ask her to please read the ordinance.
Bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements and the acquisition of new, additional, or replacement equipment and machinery, new communication and signal systems equipment, and a new automotive vehicle, including original apparatus and equipment, in by and for the Borough of New Milford and the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $797,000, to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds, to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
The purpose of this ordinance is to authorize the issuance of a bond for various capital acquisitions and improvements, including a dump truck, road resurfacing, communication equipment, and a fire department rescue boat, and various other equipment. May I get a motion to open to the public for a public hearing on this ordinance?
So. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ladies and gentlemen of the public, if anyone has any questions or comments regarding this ordinance, now is your opportunity.
Motion to close to the public. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I get a motion to adopt this ordinance on its final reading?
Second.
May I get a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Samuelson.
Yes.
Councilman Zalner.
Yes.
Council President Duffy.
Yes.
Councilman Grodzki. Councilman Seymour.
Yes.
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
Next one is 2025:16, and when the clerk has the opportunity, I'd ask her to please read the ordinance.
Capital ordinance of the Borough of New Milford in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, authorizing the making of various public acquisitions and improvements in by and for the borough, appropriating therefore the sum of $24,900, and providing that such sum so appropriated shall be raised from the capital improvement fund of the borough.
The purpose of this ordinance is to appropriate funds from the Borough of New Milford Capital Improvement Fund for various acquisition improvements to the Fire Department and the Board of Health. May I get a motion to open to the public for a public hearing on this ordinance?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ladies and gentlemen of the public, if anyone has any questions or comments regarding this ordinance, now is the opportunity. Seeing that no member of the public wishes to come forward at this time, I would ask for a motion to close to the public.
Motion to close to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I get a motion to adopt this ordinance on its final reading?
Motion.
Second.
May I get a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Samuelson.
Yes.
Councilman Zalner.
Yes.
Council President Duffy.
Yes.
Councilman Grodzki. Councilman Seymour.
Yes.
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
Okay. Under new business, we have a couple of ordinance introductions. First one being 2025:17. And when the clerk has the opportunity, I'd ask her to please read the ordinance.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 30 of the Revised General Ordinances of the Borough of New Milford entitled Land Use Regulations, thereby amending subsection 30-28.9 entitled Parking of Commercial, Other Vehicles, and Boats in Residential Districts.
The purpose of this ordinance is to increase the permitted height of commercial vehicles in residential districts to accommodate the current common height of commercial cargo vans, which is 10 feet. May I get a motion to introduce this ordinance on its first reading?
Motion.
Second.
May I get a roll call, please?
Councilwoman Samuelson.
Yes.
Councilman Zalner.
Yes.
Council President Duffy.
When can I make a comment?
Right now.
Okay. I have to be honest, when I first saw this, I was concerned about seeing, tall vans in driveways, especially when we have some neighborhoods that are side by side, very close to each other. So I did a little digging around and saw that the proposal from the PD is actually an average. There are other towns that allow higher, wider, longer. So I feel confident in saying yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Brodsky.
Yes.
Councilman Seymour.
Yes.
Councilman Grant.
Yes.
The final introduction tonight is 2025:18, and when the clerk has the opportunity, Vanessa, please read the ordinance.
An ordinance to amend Chapter 7 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of New Milford entitled Traffic, thereby amending subsection 7-3.3 entitled Parking Prohibited at All Times on Certain Streets, and subsection 7-3.4 entitled Parking Prohibited During Certain Hours on Certain Streets.
Okay, the purpose of this ordinance is to prohibit parking on certain sections of Cedar Road, Shea Drive, and Reichelt Road, and to prohibit parking on Knoll Road during certain hours on school days due to safety concerns as recommended by the traffic officer of the New Milford Police Department. Making a motion to introduce this ordinance on its first reading.
Motion.
Second.
Making a roll call, please.
Councilman Samuelson.
Yes.
Councilman Zalmer.
Yes.
Council President Duffy.
Yes.
Councilman Brodsky.
Yes.
Councilman Seymour.
Yes.
Councilwoman Grant.
Yes.
I was failing to say that the public hearing on this ordinance will be our May 28th meeting.
And on the previous one
as well as for 2025:17. Okay. Moving on to item number 1 is DEP Water Conservation Ordinance. Councilwoman Sancusi.
All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. The weather's getting nice, and the lawn sprinklers are coming on. I think I mentioned I attended a previous meeting. I had attended a webinar hosted by ANJAC, which is the Association of Environmental Commissions that supports all of our environmental commission work. And the speaker was the NJDEP, and they were urging everyone to pay attention to landscape watering, and they're urging municipalities to adopt an ordinance to support that. So the reason why, currently we've been in a drought warning since November, even though we've had rain these last couple weeks. Our groundwater and our streams have not recharged, and this ordinance is primarily for drinking water. The aim with adopting a water conservation ordinance is to avoid a water emergency where the governor would have to call a state of emergency, and then there would be restrictions on personal use of water. The restrictions would be much higher. So right now there are no restrictions. It's a request to conserve. The model ordinance recommends a 2-day per week watering with time restrictions, early morning and evening. And the restriction would be 30 minutes per zone. So it's actually a good practice for people to water each zone for 30 minutes. It makes the landscaping more resilient to drought.
A zone being defined as?
A zone, some people have lawns like the front yard, backyard, side yard, that would be a zone. So right now they're urging people to reduce their watering and also to have smart meters so that their automatic sprinklers don't water when it's raining out. Oftentimes we see sprinklers running when it's raining out. Some of the recommendations, they're urging the public to avoid over-fertilizing lawns and using brooms instead of a hose to clean up walkways, because there's a lot of people who like to use their water to clean and to dust, and so just being mindful about that. The model, so I did look to see, I did have a conversation with the Environmental Commission, and they are supportive. They're split down the middle. They are supportive of conserving water. They don't want to be punitive to our citizens, right? They don't want our residents to feel like it's a hardship, like they're being asked to do something other communities aren't being asked to do. They also did ask that if we were going to ask our residents to do this, that the borough would also follow the same watering restrictions. So, and I did look up that in 2021, Bergenfield did adopt a water conservation ordinance, and so I have that to pass around if people want to see what theirs looks like. One final piece, this water conservation ordinance is, this water conservation.
Does that differ from the model that was provided?
The model has a lot of options in it, and this is what they adopted as a final. So they adopted, so I'm coming up to that. So Sustainable Jersey offers a water conservation ordinance model, and they offer best standards of practice. And Bergenfield did they did all of the restrictions with the smart meters and the timed, the 2-day a week, the timed, because there are three main pieces, 3 main points, 3 main elements. So there's limiting outdoor watering from automated systems to no more than 2 days a week. Provisions requiring smart controllers for all newly installed irrigation systems, and provisions that incentivize converting existing systems into smart controllers.
Would this impose any financial burden on the residents?
Well, that would be something we would have to discuss. There would have to, if someone is watering, there's grounds maintenance,
Property maintenance?
property maintenance.
Other than penalties and fines.
There's penalties and fines, but there are, they would have to work with irrigation installers that are certified with the DEP. There's certifications where to install the smart meters. It gets quite complicated, and that's where the Environmental Commission was like, don't want to put a burden onto people, but it's not written that people that's for new installations, and the DEP does have resources for irrigation installers to become certified smart meter installers. So there's process, and I know it's a lot.
And I tend to agree with half of the Environmental Commission about being a burden. I believe the county, when the water levels get low, put in restrictions. The governor puts in restrictions. I don't think it's fair that the borough put in restrictions. 1 day, 2 days. What do you do if there's no water shortage or anything like that? What do you do in the beginning of the season when you're doing new seedings and you have to water every single day? There's a lot of issues that come up. Putting in ordinances, something like to that effect. So I think it is a burden on our Milford residents. And I reached out to the county, because they've done it in the past, to restrict water usage.
How does it affect people in a business such as power washing? They take power wash homes.
You're talking about irrigation.
This is
of lawns.
irrigation.
It's called
This is
irrigation.
We're talking about water and lawns, but the same water is used when people go there, and people in this business, they go in and power wash somebody's home.
I can't
But this
answer
is-
that.
this is just
I would say that's a different,
This
I would
is-
say that's a different purpose,
I
and
would
it's
say-
just a one-time thing. as
This
opposed
is
to
for
this.
drinking water. It is typical. So as someone who used to live in California and has experienced drought and deep water restrictions, it is really, really important. Like one of the biggest issues is landscape watering. People are overwater for too long. The part that is, if everyone could water 2 days a week, half an hour in each zone, it would save a lot of water.
What you're saying is you're restricting it to like an even day or an odd day. What happens if people can't do it on an even day or an
No,
odd day?
she's
No,
not
it
saying
says to
that.
avoid that. It says avoid every
It's
other day
never
water limit.
successful.
Every other
Yeah.
day watering is actually too much.
Yeah.
So,
It's the best possible
if I-
doing it with your trash pickup, like
No.
suggestions.
I have to agree with Ira about we will get a directive, like you said,
Mhm.
from the governor or the county executive. But I don't think there's anything wrong with reminding people and, apprising them of the situation. It's what do they call, a teaching moment, We had pretty bad drought conditions last year. And like you said, they have not really rebounded since then. So if we could maybe find something that, number one, how are you going to enforce such a thing? And you shouldn't be. It should just be about, learning and be conscious and help us be a good citizen, type thing, rather than.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Ira and Randy on that, but to take it one step further, I think we could do better than just reminding people. I think we could actually have an educational campaign associated.
True.
Put it in all of our buildings, social media, and I know it's the end of the year, but this is the kind of thing you want to get
The schools.
schools involved. Because, it's the kids that understand this and, remind their parents.
True.
Yeah. And this directly affects our drinking water, so
Yeah.
that's why
Yeah.
it's a public health issue, because this affects our drinking water.
But rather than, you have to just be more than just teaching. I think rather than adopting an ordinance, you should suggest that people follow these
Guidelines.
Right.
rights.
Mhm.
There are some issues within the guidelines that I think this would have to be revised as far as I'm concerned. I don't
Mhm.
think it's very precise. It also gives exceptions to the restrictions, leaves it up to the borough administrator to make
Oh,
those
thank you.
determinations. Exactly, I didn't think you'd like
I
that.
think that the borough can water as often as the director of the DPW thinks we need to. That's my assumption.
Yeah,
It's being pushed down there.
Also, it allows for,
What?
Dan Baker.
He can come on in, yes.
although, to your comment, Artie, it does say irrigation necessary for the establishment of newly sodded or seeded grass is outside the purview of this. But it does say irrigation shall not be conducted between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. on any day. Irrigation using automatic systems may only be used between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. So I'm not sure of the difference between when it says irrigation and then it says different kind of irrigation. To me, this is not well drafted.
I agree with you, Council President. I like the idea of raising awareness and being informative about the importance of these issues that you're raising, and I agree with Councilman Sanhusen. And I like your suggestion to loop in schools.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a great
Partner with the
idea.
schools.
You'd start with night out also.
Oh, sure.
Take away all the water.
And just to be clear, I'm not, pushing for like a full ordinance. I just wanted to bring it to awareness that
Yes.
this was something that the DEP is asking all municipalities to consider.
Can we start public awareness, like maybe at night out, at the environmental table and have a separate thing with, talk about watering the lawns and everything else.
But can the
That
borough
seems
also
like
be
a little way.
an example with
I
the
think we could
2
be
days?
conscious of it. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure of every single borough property and where we have new seed and where we don't, but I think Vince would be willing to consider.
Yeah, if
Right,
there's
back
new
if we're
seed,
cons-
obviously you need to water. But
Right.
but after,
Well, there you go. Like Williams Field is going to be watered every day because we just ripped out an infield and we're planting grass. So if we don't water it constantly, a lot of soccer people are going to be upset there's no grass next fall.
Right.
So, but I think there's.
I think that they already use,
Yeah.
good judgment.
Common sense, right?
More so than the average homeowner necessarily, because they're doing it based upon the needs of whatever it is that's been planted.
I just got my lawn sprinklers fixed, so I haven't rolled it out yet, but
and watering early in the morning, and to answer your question about not watering between the hours of 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. is evaporation. So
I'm just
it's
saying,
okay
like, the
to
way it
water.
was drafted, it
That's
sounded
kind of
confusing,
like
but I.
bullet point.
yeah,
I mean, to
absolutely,
me,
absolutely.
you know, the idea that somebody takes a half an hour and cleans their driveway with water is just mind-blowing to me. But that kind of thing should be,
Education.
that's where education really,
It's all American life.
It's a lot faster than
No.
easier than sweeping, I will say.
well, no, not allowed.
All right. Well, thank you all for your
So-
input. I
Everyone's into
appreciate the
educational-
discussion.
I think,
Yeah.
don't wait till night out.
And we're going to work with environmental on the educational component of this, right? They want to be part of this, I'm assuming.
Yes, I'll bring
Okay.
this back to them and let them know.
Maybe that was half over
They
there.
were aware that this was up for discussion with you all today, so I just wanted to make sure that
Excellent.
they also had the same concern. So it's everyone's being thoughtful about it. There's no rush and urgency on it.
But thank you for bringing it.
Education is
It's
most important.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anything else on that? No? Now we'll move on to number 2, which is no JIF drainage plan recommendation administrator. This is a fun one too.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think I circulated this earlier. There's been a recommendation from the JIF about adopting a resolution that gives a commitment to creating a long-range plan to address drainage issues. The recommendation has come as a result of the fact that there's been some lawsuits against communities alleging that residents suffered large losses because towns were negligent in controlling floodwaters, and they're going to provide legal and engineering resources to assist members at no cost in their efforts to implement the flood risk control program. It's not realistically, the argument is it's not realistically possible to keep the entire system up to date, but that's where some of the Title 59 protections come in. But in order to use design immunity, you have to be able to prove that the design was in fact approved by the governing body or another appropriate authority before the construction began. And those records don't necessarily exist for things that took place 50, 75 years ago. So most towns lack complete records and often can't qualify. So there's another way to qualify for immunity, even if the records were missing. They're not liable for exercise of discretion when in the face of competing demands it determines whether or not to utilize or apply existing resources unless a court concludes that the determination of the public entity was palpably unreasonable. And they can take a reasonable amount of time to correct any deficiency. So for that reason, they're asking that each year the 5- and 10-year capital budget should update infrastructure projects, including drainage, and they're offering legal services to assist with guidance for design immunity and scarce resource immunity defenses to stormwater flooding claims, and also engineering services, 3 hours of engineering consultation at no cost to review the municipality's compliance with the municipal separate stormwater sewer system MS4 permit from an engineering perspective and identify any shortcomings and recommendations for cost-effective solutions to meet the requirements. There's a resolution that was recommended. It's on our agenda for this evening, And, my intention is to take advantage of the resources that are provided, and we do adopt design immunity for anything that we do currently, those resolutions that you see periodically on our agenda. And as usual, we're going to follow the advice of the GIF and do everything that we can to protect the interests of the borough.
Great.
It's a good idea, right, John?
It's a no-brainer. We have immunity under the Tort Claims Act. That's all that discussion that you heard about immunity was all they were regurgitating the statute that gives us status as the king. All right, so if you know the Tort Claims Act comes from sovereign immunity, right? So it's good to be the king. You ever see History of the World, right? It's good to be the king. There's a reason why we have immunity. It's because it comes, and the Supreme Court actually this week rendered an opinion that impinged that a little bit with Englewood Cliffs, and whether or not if you file a frivolous claim, whether you can be liable for that as a municipality, which the Supreme Court found you could, which I think was appropriate. But that being said, generally, as a public entity, as you all know, we are immune from any kind of claim like that. So, why not do it?
Operation Simba. It's good to be king.
No, I just can't wait.
I just can't wait.
Come on, get your Disney right. That's Operation Mufasa.
Stop.
I mean, that's why he's got me,
Yeah.
You think Judge Kelly knew his Disney quotes like this? Come on.
But he can tell you anything about Jesuit education.
Yeah, and I can't. I went to Boston College.
I knew you got it.
He went to the inferior Jesuit
Oh,
school. Inferior Jesuit
Devin's
school.
fighting words.
He's going to show up here. So.
I hope he does. Good.
Okay.
He's going to text me right now.
Item number 3 is the Main Street Improvement Project Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, this is a project that's been on the boards for quite some time. We had some setbacks. We did go out to bid. The bid came in significantly over what we were expecting, so we did not award it. And we kind of went back to the drawing board. We have a DOT grant, $470,000, which a requirement of the grant is to award it within 2 years, which we're fast approaching. The award letter came from May of 2023. So there's a resolution on tonight's agenda to ask for an extension for the DOT for us to award the project. And the engineer is going to follow through with that after the resolution is adopted. So we have a total budget of $595,750. We've spent already $70,000 of that. We have a current construction estimate of $617,809, and there's an engineering quote for additional design and construction administration of about $68,000. So as it stands right now, our budget is short about $161,000. So in order to move forward, we would have to make a decision of whether or not we want to allocate additional funds. The mayor, myself, Vince, and Sil got together on Friday to talk a little bit about it in advance of our meeting, to talk about the possibility of making any changes to the current project as proposed to see if there were any economies to be found. And one of the things we talked about was part of the original plan for the streetscape was to eliminate the bump outs on Main Street, which would involve a significant amount of more of the resurfacing, work with the inlets, etc. So we asked Neglia to look at the project if we were to eliminate that portion of it. It's like last minute. It actually came in at like 6 o'clock tonight, the estimate. But it turns out that it would be approximately a $60,000 savings if we were to approach the project separately without the bump outs. So the decision that we were talking about when we met was, we wanted to bring it to the governing body to see, to have a discussion about the expectations for Main Street and to see, how people wish to proceed at this point.
What else is in the plan? I don't recall at this point. I know the bump outs were a big issue.
Well, it's going to involve resurfacing. There's some ADA ramps that have to be just redesigned. The
corners,
the crosswalk, the brickwork. It's basically a street.
Pavers, they're all broken and
Right.
sunk. they're going with the new ones that are stamped, so that never happens again.
Streetscape beautification in addition
Right.
to resurfacing.
And did I hear you mention something about painting the lights?
Not going to be doing that. That's not part of it because it's that was one of the things that tanked our last bid.
Okay, good.
As I recall, the bump outs were creating issues, and that's one reason we wanted to get rid of them. They also leave less room for parking.
But they're also traffic calming, which is something that, it's sort of like there's like a dual purpose.
The good part of them is they're traffic calming. Meaning
Right.
people do not go as fast on Main Street because the road isn't as wide, right? Main Street gets a lot of pedestrian crossing at the, especially those two crosswalks that are all beat up right now.
And there are a lot of large trucks that go up and down Main Street, along with residents on their way to schools and whatnot. So if they don't slow down, they can't stop. So in my mind, that slowing of traffic is important. So I was never...
The con is it takes up, if you got rid of all the bump outs, you could probably add one or maybe two spots. But the other thing is, it's also would be easier to snowplow without the bumps. But what's more important and what's economically feasible, that's what we're talking about.
What else can we cut out?
It's either we're going to move forward or we're not.
So
There's not really much more that we can,
It's just the dollars?
yes,
to go with the project as is, we would need another 160.
60 approximately.
If we
That's with leaving the pumpkins.
just take
Taking
them
it out,
Oh, so if we leave them in,
60 less.
so we're only looking at 100,000.
Yes.
Right.
Doesn't, well, I mean, where are we going to find that?
That's my next question.
Well,
The same place that we do, we pass upon ordinance to cover it.
okay.
Do you have extra money, like, any bonds that you haven't used before? No? They're all used up?
And then,
I'm not trying to get in your way, Christie.
No more beach basement?
what was the amount of the grant again initially?
$470,000.
And we're adding,
Well, we're at 595 already,
uh,
and we're looking to either add another 100 to 160,000.
I think we're gonna, if we can do it, it's worth it.
But without the bump outs.
Without the
60,000.
bump out.
You mean no bump outs, or with the bump outs and save $60,000?
Say 60,000, she said.
If you leave the bump outs, you save
This
60,000.
is a trick question, seriously.
But she likes the bump outs.
Oh,
Keep the bump out.
Keep the
save
bump out.
60,000.
Yeah, save the money.
If
Save
he
the
does
money.
reinstate.
Well, one of the other things we talked about was we did sort of like an adopt-a spot,
I'll
but
get
that
it, your
didn't
house.
really work out well.
Right.
So we're gonna take over the care and maintenance so that they'll have a uniform appearance
That's a good
and
idea.
better maintenance.
you'll only water them twice a week.
Excellent.
How will they fix the walkways, the crosswalks?
They're brand new. They're gonna have the paver crosswalks.
The curb with the curb
But
cut.
now there's only half, because Veolia did a project, and they paved half the street. So you can see actually, one of the crosswalks ends.
But I
No.
think that, Vince said they're not actually doing the pavers as the crosswalk.
They're not doing that?
They're
Yeah.
stamping,
They're
doing the stamp.
They're,
Yeah.
I think it's just.
Stamp
for the
concrete?
traffic markings.
Stamping?
Yes.
They stamp to make it look like they're pavers, but it's
No, I
stamped.
don't think so.
They're not even
So-
doing
No,
that.
So that
Good.
doesn't work.
Good.
Say that again, I'm
I
sorry.
think it's just going to be regular
It's a
crosswalk.
regular marked crosswalk, it's like
Good.
the red brick.
Oh, good.
I hope something helps, because too many cars do not stop for pedestrians on Main Street.
Yeah. Well,
On every
We
street
have that
in
all over.
Bergen County,
True,
New
but that's,
Jersey.
a
They
very
have
busy
those
street, and they
blinking
don't
lights.
stop.
It's
Thank
awful, but I understand it's not like all over.
who can the PD get a grant for that? Or is that us?
No, that's us.
They need to rewrite the statute, because the statute is really unclear as to when you, as a driver, have to, so like, and when you, as a pedestrian, have to, like, exercise caution too. So like, I've been in situations that we all probably have, where you're driving at 30 or 40 miles an hour down a regular street, or what, 25, whatever, and someone just steps off the curb into the crosswalk, assuming
Looking at the-
that you're going to stop because, oh, I'm in the crosswalk, there's a shield around me now, like, I'm not going to get killed. The car hits me. It happens all the time. And like one of the towns that comes to my mind because I live close, and it's also they were one of the first towns that went crazy because they have a major downtown pedestrian area. Westwood. Westwood has signs on every crosswalk. It's like huge, like these like things that come out that say stop. They never got those blinking ones. Like Teaneck has some of those blinking
Those
signs.
are so
Those signs
effective.
work. Those signs really work.
Because it's really hard
They are.
to notice that there's somebody standing there waiting.
But they don't go off till someone walks
One-
into the crosswalk.
And the
One very,
flag and.
one very simple thing I've seen is the flag, like they have them in several places
Yeah.
in Oradell, those big
Yeah.
orange flags.
Right.
You wave them. Pedestrian and motorists see that.
But when you're with the person
You carry it as you walk, yeah, so
100%.
it
But
really,
you gotta get people to buy into picking up the flag and using it,
I
right?
love doing that.
I
So-
did Oradell, I saw some guy like
Yeah, so
darting
that-
across the
It's a
street. I'm like,
very
why didn't you
inex-
grab the flag?
It's so
That-
cheap.
That,
Oh,
that program, Ordell didn't pay for that. That was donated by what is it? Rotary, a Rotary
Right,
Club.
right.
Okay.
There was a time when Rotary Clubs, I guess, were donating these to towns, and Ordell was one of them because they may have a Rotary, but we don't have one. So we never.
Talk
we
to
never
Bill
did
Rupp,
that.
he's the Maywood, or he's
That's
like the Grand Poobah.
I mean, if we want to try that at a certain intersection,
It would be really-
we
I
should
think-
get someone to help sponsor it.
I would love to try that at an intersection on Main
I
Street.
mean, maybe, outreach, PD
Main and
outreach.
Eagle, for example.
On the flag.
Any of the
Could
crossings,
do
I
that.
mean, Main and Eagle,
Seriously,
Main
I'm
and
not- I'm not kidding.
That's kind of their area,
We never know where to put it,
How
yeah,
much they cost?
like the worst spots.
They can't be
I think the blinking light,
Well, we
people,
are getting-
People see that.
and
They
they're
see-
learning about it
We are
now,
getting
they
two
know what
blinkings
it
on
means.
River Road, south.
Yeah,
We're getting two of those.
The one thing
So-
we have to be careful of with the
Not-
blinking lights is if we get too many, they too will also just blend in with everything. And
well
some of
then
those
why
are there.
two on the
Yeah.
south? Why
It's
not?
enforcement also by your PD, which, your PD's awesome. I mean,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. I mean, like, but that's enforcement. The PD knows, and Brian knows, Chief Clancy knows that we want enforcement. He will have moved to tell them to enforce, people violating that rule. Of
At one
driving.
time, I mean,
But
they
they're
did
not always
patrols
there,
where
you
they
know.
were out
It's
doing
not
it.
always there to see it.
Yeah,
But they will assign
they're
them to
applying
watch
for a
like
grant
the
now.
bad crosswalks. They do that.
They're
Yes.
applying
Okay.
for a grant now.
Yes.
There are towns that do that. They sit
I thought
patrol
you said
cars
that was
to
us.
watch, and the second someone goes through,
No.
they come and they give you a ticket.
Just
And when 20 people get tickets in a day,
I haven't seen that in New Milford.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen that on Main Street. All right.
well, that may be a conversation that the police committee may want to have with the chief, if that's something that's a big issue.
I'm surprised there aren't more accidents on Main Street.
I love when you stop and somebody tries to go around you.
And
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like, oh
Yeah.
my God, they're gonna hit them.
That's bad.
Well, they honk at you like you're doing something.
But see, with the bump outs, that can't happen on Main Street. You can't.
You can't
There's nowhere to
There's no
go,
room.
unless you're like literally driving the
Yeah.
other
No, you
way.
just
Yeah.
hit the person.
That's bad. That's bad on
I know someone
Boulevard,
that got
Grafton
hit
Boulevard, hey,
when
all the
Charlie
wide
rounds.
streets.
She got thrown in the air,
Oh, I know, right?
both of her legs.
Well, that's a
Yeah.
horrible spot right there where the where the
Yeah, the old
where the
Cat-
fire
cat-
opens.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened.
Cat-
Someone went around.
Kathy
the
Lorenzi
pleasure of the
saw that
council would be,
She has color loft salon here this a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Oh, no, this is,
Oh, no, this
Way
is
back.
real. Oh,
You said
well,
save
what happened?
60.
Keep the bus.
Then they finally put up a parking lot.
Matt,
I agree.
Sorry,
I agree.
with what?
how you want the project to go?
Oh,
Bump outs
okay.
or no bump outs?
Personally, I prefer the bump out. I don't like the bump outs, but
So keeping them safe.
I
60,
do believe in saving money.
same.
Okay. Step 2.
And maybe we can keep that on a list for the future. Getting rid of the bump
The
outs.
flag.
The bump outs, no, the flags I'd like to,
Oh, well, that would be a list for many years out if we're gonna
Okay.
be doing,
What?
when the next time we do a street, when was the last time we did a street sweep on Main Street?
when was that? Is
Oh,
it 15, 10 years ago?
At least 15.
I
At
was
least
on the
15?
planning board.
Really? Yeah, I guess I was new on the council. I remember.
How much could the flags cost? I mean, really?
I mean,
You have the little thing on the pole.
I think
And
one of
the
problems
flags.
is
I mean,
I know Oradell's doing it, but I'm still.
Then go for the lights.
Okay.
Can't do anything.
where are they going down here?
One down, I think.
By
Rambler.
Boulevard, it should
No, one
be.
down by River Road, we're putting in two. One down, I think, by Rambler, and the other one by,
What, Ridge,
the
maybe?
post office, I think. This post office.
Oh.
I think.
They need a streetscape, talk about a grant.
Yeah.
That
Hmm.
spot needs a streetscape.
Do we have to,
Oh,
get a
sorry.
motion to, we're paying a bond, right?
Well, I'm gonna
Okay.
have to put that together. That'll be at a future meeting.
In the meantime, we just come up with $100,000.
Oh, I'm up. Schedule updates is next. Okay. Tuesday, May 13th is the Suicide Prevention Symposium, sponsored by the New Milford Public School District and NJ45. It's from 6 to 8:30 p.m. at the New Milford High School Auditorium. Excuse me. On Monday, May 26th is New Milford's annual Memorial Day Parade, sponsored by the New Milford Public Events Committee. The parade will start at 9 a.m. from Knightsfield parking lot to the Borough Hall. Everyone who is attending the parade, or the participants in the parade, are asked to get there no later than 8:45 to line up in the parking lot. Saturday, May 31st is Mental Health Awareness, sponsored by the New Milford Municipal Alliance. It's from 9:30 to 12 p.m. at the Knightsfield Pavilion. Right after that is Music of the Arts, sponsored by the New Milford Arts Committee, from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Knightsfield Pavilion. And on Monday, June 30th, is the New Milford Athletic Department 29th Annual Golf Outing, sponsored by the New Milford Athletic Boosters. Golf starts at 8:15 a.m., and it's at the Golf Club at Mansion Ridge. Two new things that I added today. On May 15th at 8 a.m., I'll be reading the proclamation to the police department to recognize Police Week and Peace Officers Memorial Day. On June 3rd at 7:15 a.m., I'll be reading the Public Works Week proclamation down at the DPW, so all are invited to that. Any other events that I missed?
What was the date of the meeting?
15th.
What's
Thursday.
Week?
Peace Officers Memorial Day. But this is police work.
Did you say peace?
Policemen
or
are peace
police?
officers. Peace.
Peace.
Peace officers.
Okay.
Is the DPW?
So that's Thursday.
That's kind of late, isn't it? Just
On the
because
3rd?
They're going to be not around?
What do you mean late? 7:15 a.m.?
No, I mean the DPW one, isn't that the third Sunday in then?
No, they want to do. We want to do it on. They want to do it on June 5th because Vince is gonna. He's here on that day.
Okay.
I have it as June 3rd. If that changes, I'll text. But I'm pretty sure
I'm
it's
just
June 3rd.
saying, if you
Yeah.
look at the proclamation, it's happening before.
You know what? Maybe I have the wrong date. It's what's next Tuesday?
Today's the 12th.
The 20th.
I'm sorry. It is. It is next.
May
Tuesday.
20th.
May 20th.
Which thing?
DPW. May 20th, 7:15. I don't know why I wrote down 6:30.
In the morning?
That is a mistake.
Oh, Lordy.
I know Hetty won't be there.
My heart will be there.
7:15, you said?
Yes.
Mayor, can I add a
My
couple
thoughts will be there.
events to the Mayor's
Yes.
Wellness? Because I noticed the Mayor's Wellness events weren't on there.
They're not on there, but there's so many of them. They are on the borough website.
They are on the borough website, but I do have two that I want to point out. Is that on at 11 a.m. at Kennedy Field is Parents and Pals Walking Group. They're meeting Thursday mornings, so the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th. And the walk with the mayor is Sunday, May 18th. And the YMCA schedule for classes is available on the
The
website.
mayor's walk is at 4 p.m., right?
Correct.
Why don't you join us this time?
4 p.m.?
4 p.m. We meet at the Borough Hall gazebo.
I can come as is?
But you have to run.
Absolutely.
Running is required.
Right. I could run.
Let's move on to the administrator's report.
1995.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Keep that, I'm walking, let alone running.
Happy to report the borough is going to be hosting another Motor Vehicle Commission mobile event on Monday, June 16th. The NBC mobile unit will be set up in the Borough Hall parking lot, and appointments can be scheduled beginning Monday, May 19th at 10 a.m. They go quick. Pre-registration is required, and the link to register will be posted on the borough website and the Office of the Mayor Facebook page on Friday, May 16th. There are a total of 72 appointments available.
After all the people out that can get it on May 7th, apparently
At 10 a.m. A week from today.
still.
The deadline to register to vote in the June 10th primary election is Tuesday, May 20th, which is next Tuesday. June 3rd is the deadline to apply for a mail-in ballot, and early voting will be held from Friday, June 6th through Sunday, June 8th. The borough is looking forward to hosting the Bergen County Commissioners on Wednesday, June 4th, as they take their regularly scheduled County Commissioners meeting on the road. The meeting will start at 7 p.m. and will be held in the Milford Council Chambers.
What time are they starting again?
7.
Starting at 7 p.m.?
June 4th.
June 4th.
June 4th, 7 p.m.
Is that a Monday?
The service inspections for the electric vehicle charging stations at the Borough Hall and the library were completed last week, and they should be powered by the public service within 4 to 6 weeks. The EV station at Knights Field requires the installation of a transformer by public service, which is probably about a month out. Once that's installed, it will be 4 to 6 weeks to complete the work and get the service inspection, and then another month before the station is powered and ready to use. Borough Hall is going to be closed on Monday, May 26th in observance of Memorial Day, and for that reason, we're going to be, the next meeting of the Mayor and Council is a public session which is scheduled for Wednesday, May 28th at 7 p.m. That's it for me, thank you.
Okay. And the only thing I'd like to add is, I'm sure most of you know that recently New Milford was ranked 9th safest city by SafeWise. The criteria they use is FBI crime data, specifically focused on property crime and violent crime. So, violent crime is actually up 9% in the state of New Jersey, but it actually went down in New Milford, so we're doing a great job. To round out the list of towns that we are in company with,
Might be the only burden that made it.
we're not the only top 10. I think we're the only burden.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1 is Vernon Township. Number 2 is Bernards Township. Number 3 is Sparta Township. 4 is Jefferson Township. 5 is Apacom. 6 is Denville. 7 is Mount Olive. 8 is West Milford. 9 is New Milford. They must have mixed that up. I think we're really 8. But 10 is Madison. 11 is Jackson Township. 12 is Dumont. Our friends in Dumont. 13 is Harrison Township. 14 is Barnegat Township. 15 is Montville, Manchester, Florham Park, South River, Ridgewood, another Bergen County, and Hillsborough Township. That's the top 20.
Or what's the stat? What's it?
This is safest cities in New Jersey.
Is it, what's the ranking by city? Like how do you get to be, is it like any town in the whole state?
The whole, they look at the FBI data in every town, and then they come up with 114 that meet criteria, and then within them, they rank them. And New Milford was number 9.
Consistently on the
Yes.
list.
We were 13th for a while.
So we want to, obviously, we want to thank the police for all that they do. Not only just enforcement, but they've been doing a great job over the years with community policing. And I think that's a huge part of this, because residents have to be involved, otherwise this doesn't happen. And we have to thank the governing body, because over the last few years, we've been providing the resources that they need to do their job. So put all of that together and good things can happen. It doesn't mean something terrible can't happen tomorrow, but we're on a good track. And also, the police department has a great relationship with the school district, between the SROs and the public safety meetings. So that is a huge help for all that's going on. So I just wanted to thank all of them.
I just want to point out to your point, but the police at the schools do more than just provide security. They actively engage the kids, and they greet the kids and say hi to them, and the kids love them, and view them as friends, and it's really a nice thing to see, complete community integration of our police with our students, and the parents too. It's great to see them out there.
Agreed. Good point on my point to make a point.
That's right.
Okay, resolutions. Do any need to be pulled for further discussion and or vote? If not, at this time I'd ask for...
Just a question. What's the date of the lease between the swim club? When does it's when
Well,
to when?
technically, it starts January of this year,
January. Okay,
and it ends in December, 5 years out.
got it. Thank you.
May I get a motion to open to the public?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ladies and gentlemen of the public, if anyone has any questions or comments regarding the good and welfare of the Borough of Milford, you are invited to come up. Seeing that no member of the public wishes to come up at this time, I would ask for a motion to close the public.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May I get a motion to adopt resolutions 2025:134 to 2025:139?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go into closed session. When we come out of closed session, this governing body will take no action and immediately adjourn the meeting. May I get a motion to go into closed?
Motion to go into closed.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Good night, and start enjoying the weather. Oh, it's gonna rain for the rest of this week. But
Yeah. Which is
it'll get
good.
better.
Looks good. Turn off your sprinklers. If it's